Colby Covington is in this weird purgatory right now. It really is a little bit of a complicated spot, unlike any other that I could say any other athlete is going through. Look, here's what's up with Colby. Colby can't speak without Kamaru Usman's name coming out of his mouth. Now, putting a puzzle together that leads Colby back to Kamaru is tough. But putting a puzzle together that leads Colby to Kamaru next is impossible. You're wasting your time. You don't have the pieces. Stop. So when Colby's out doing interviews and he's great at them and he's happy to go and do them, but when he's only building a fight that isn't going to happen next, look, if there's anything that happened in Madison Square Garden between Colby and Kamaru is we found out as the audience we have the right two guys. We have the best guy in the world and we have the second baddest dude in the world. That's what we found out. Now, Colby's next fight, for sure, if you beat him, you become the number one contender. There is nobody that can beat Colby Covington right now that doesn't automatically become the number one contender. It's just not feasible. So now we know what Colby's bringing to the table. Even on accident, Colby's bringing a number one contendership, but it's not a semifinal. It's not if Colby wins, he gets to fight for the belt. It's only if Colby loses, that opponent gets to go and fight for the belt. So what the hell are you going to do for Chaos? What are you going to do for him? There was a time I could have got you that fight with Colby. One phone call, no problem. He wanted to compete. Those times are behind. He's had a lot of matches. There was times where he needed to compete. It was his job. He was counting up for the finances. Those days are behind him. So what does he want and what does he get? Now that's for you to figure out. If you really want to be in there with Colby, you got to figure out how to scratch his back. You got to figure out how to back him in a corner. He is an animal. And if you corner him, he will come out fighting. But it's hard to get under his skin. It's very hard to insult him. You're not going to hurt his feelings. But he's got an ego like anybody. And if you truly want to fight him, you're going to have to figure those pieces out. It's a very interesting spot, though. Nobody offers as much to Colby as Colby can offer to you. And Colby does have his sight, so he wants to fight Kamaru. We can't do that. We just can't make that bridge right now. Colby wants to fight Masvidal. That works all day long. Masvidal's on the injured list. Colby can take the same story that applies to Masvidal and stick it up Poirier's ass. No problem. Poirier hasn't said he's going to the weight class. Do you see where Colby's stuck? Do you see where he's just on this island? Do you see where it gets a little bit hard to get to him right now? Or to even encourage or motivate him to go and do something? Because you got to understand the pieces. You got to be an intelligent guy. I wouldn't just call Colby up blindly. Let's go get a fight. Hey, somebody put this on me, Colby, and they think I can put this together. Right now, I got to come to him with a reason. I want to go look like a fool. And neither will his manager, neither will his coaches, neither will his other sphere of influence. They've got to come in and they've got to be able to satisfy something. What does this opponent mean? What is this for? What is this about? Colby made it very clear what Masvidal was about. Vengeance. We got it. And the same thing goes with Poirier. This is a personal grudge. Teammate, right? It works. What are you going to do? And this isn't the only situation we're seeing this in. Here's the checks and balances of MMA, okay? Because as you start to understand Colby's spot, you'll understand Conor McGregor's spot. And the checks and balances of the sport is you. You will hear many times, well, this is a business. Dana's going to do whatever's best for business. You will hear that. But there's very few examples where you can give me where that actually became the final decision. You, who Dana listens to, his customers, you, generally, broad stroke, put the top guy against the champion. You generally assess everybody. You see the field. You know the fight that you want to see, but it's the hardest fight you could possibly make. So everything just moves along smoothly. Every now and then there's a time where that runs into a hiccup. I mean, look, I could just do it. I'll play this game, but I'll do it in the world of boxing right now. I want to see Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. To hell with the other guy. Who's the champion? Who deserves it? Who contractually has the right? To hell with him. We'll get to him. We'll give him his opportunity. But the time is right and the time is running out. And we got to get Fury and we got to get Joshua in there together. And the story is starting to uncrumble. It's starting to unravel. So we're going to go ahead and just do the damn thing. Well, that is how I feel. That's what's in my heart. If I had a magic wand to wave over the boxing division, that's the fight that I'm going to make. But have I showed any responsibility in doing that? Have I showed an integrity to the sport by doing that? Have I shown a fairness in doing that? No. And every now and then, and you guys can relate to it too, every now and then we don't. We're not going to be fair. We're not even going to be nice about it. Here's what I want. Here's what I want. And what I want is bigger than everything else. So I have the old argument on my side that this is business after all, and this is best for business. And sometimes you're right. How does that pertain to Conor McGregor? Well, there's a story going around. I don't believe it. I'm very short on this, but I'll discuss it with you that Conor McGregor is going to return right into a title fight with Charles Oliveira. To support that story is a guy who has a say in this called Charles Oliveira. Charles said, Justin Gaethje, you've done everything right, and it's no disrespect, but step aside. I'm getting my red panty night. Okay, well, we have to listen. He's the champion of the world. We don't want to disrespect Justin Gaethje, but put that on hold. Oliveira gets to do what's best for him, and he's made it very clear that he will push the number one contender aside, whoever the hell it is. Happens to be Justin Gaethje, but whoever it is, he will push them aside if it means red panty night against Conor McGregor. So, Daniel Cormier happens to be interviewing. He's having a discussion. Should I call it an interview? Is Daniel an interviewer now? So at least having a discussion with Dana White, and that topic came up, and Dana absolutely was not committing that, yeah, that's the direction we're going to go, and we would make that fight. But Dana did say something on behalf of Conor McGregor, which is stop right there, Daniel. And everybody else that thinks Conor should not be able to fight Oliveira. Conor, from the beginning of time, has been willing to fight anybody anytime we've needed him to. So if Conor's going to come in and ask for one, I'm going to listen to him. The end. Now, you may like that and you may not like that, but Dana has spoken. Well, we got a clue. That's a clue for us. Oliveira wants it. We don't know. We don't know for sure if Conor does. Because we don't know when Conor's going to be back. We don't know what weight class Conor's going to come back at. Conor was pretty bullish for a while there. It's Poirier or bust, but it looks like he changed his mind just a little bit, that he's open to different ideas. And I don't submit for you that that is best for business, by the way. I don't agree. If you're a checkers player, yes, you will knock me off the board. Oliveira versus McGregor, anybody versus McGregor, is a bigger fight than Oliveira versus Gaethje, which is a huge fight. By the way, Oliveira and Gaethje, I can't wait for that one, and I think that you guys can relate to that. I also don't know who's going to win it, which makes the story all that much better. Conor McGregor is still the biggest draw in the sport, and whoever you put opposite of him is going to be bigger than any other fight that you want to offer me. And I have numbers and box office receipts to prove what I just said about Conor and his ability to draw. I still think it's a checkers move. I think if Conor's not back for 8 months in a best case scenario and 10 months in a more realistic scenario, let's just split the difference and call it 9 months, August of next year, I think you put Poirier and Gaethje in there and you let the winner go on and fight Conor McGregor. I don't think that Conor has to be in there with Oliveira. Conor can be in there with Gaethje. I don't think it makes a damn bit of difference. Other than you're going to build one of those guys, thus building the entire fight. So I just don't agree. I don't agree that it's business as usual and Conor's getting a favor and to hell with everything else in the integrity of the sport. I don't. I think that Dana makes a very fair point. We should say this guy has fought anybody. He would have fought Oliveira along the way, whether Oliveira had the belt or not. He'd have fought Gaethje anytime along the way, whether he had the belt or not. It's not about the championship fight, and it's not about skipping the line. And I haven't made my decision. I don't even know if this is on the table. This is Dana talking, but I'm not going to dismiss it either. That's fair to me. That made sense when Dana said it. Did you guys feel the same way? It made sense when Dana said it like that. I'm light on the idea. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Gaethje is going to fight Oliveira. I think it's going to be huge. I think whoever comes out of that is likely to be fighter of the year and what's likely to be fight of the year. And is going to draw right into somebody, but make no mistake. And if this whole thing is about crying in your beer for Justin Gaethje, if Justin Gaethje was here right now and he was to tell the truth, or say, okay, Justin, you're going to go out and fight Oliveira and you're going to pick who you fight next. Make no mistake, he's going to say Conor McGregor. If you go, wait just a second. What about Islam? What about Benny? What about some of these other guys that have more wins? Gaethje's going to say, you handed me the power, you asked me who I want, I'll fight those guys, no problem, give me Conor first. So we can't feel bad if it happens to Justin. This is a mythical world anyway. This isn't going to happen. Justin's going to be fighting Oliveira. This is a mythical world, but if we're going to debate this all the way through, we don't get to feel bad for somebody who would openly admit to you that if he had the power, he would do the same thing and shove it up their ass. So it's just one of these spots, right? It's one of these weird spots where this whole thing's going to play out. You guys who have the power in your mass numbers generally are perfect checks and balance. Generally, you want what is the right fight to make. Generally, based on skills, based on performance, you do a great job of identifying who is the number one contender, and you put them in there with the champion. Generally. Every now and then you get a little touch of what I got inside me. As it pertains, if I had a wand and I could just carve Uskla, Ola, whoever that boxer is, right out of the equation and put Fury versus Joshua, if I'm being honest, I would do it.